Hi, welcome back. We are having great, beautiful weather here in South Carolina. I hope you are where you are too. The weather just makes all the difference. I have to say, I love the sunshine and I am grateful for the cooler temperatures. Um, if you like what you're hearing on my channel, please like, subscribe, comment. I do enjoy hearing from you. Let me get this all set up a little better. There we go. Um, so we last left off with our trip to California because God was preparing Bob for an adventure he would have in store for us a few years later down the road. So, yes, so let's see, so that was probably like in 97, I'm guessing, around there. Maybe 98. And we somewhere between then and I would say around 2001, I started back to grad school. And yeah, I had left my inner city teaching job after 2 years and then went back to my hometown in Germantown and taught, ended up teaching 5 years there. And during that 5 years there, I taught all different areas. Again, still not really with my original plan of first or second graders. I worked in special ed a lot, and I went ahead and got my master's degree in intervention at that time, and had landed my dream job at that time after 5 years, and that was sixth grade math and science. And I loved that. Those were my favorite subjects, and I really liked that grade level too. So, but during that time I had worked with 8th graders and 7th graders, and never really thought I would be in the middle school, but I really liked the middle school age. So anyway, and sometime around that time in like 2001, there was a missionary who came to our church, and Bob and I had left our home church of Germantown First Church of God somewhere in those years, and began attending Community Harvest in Germantown. And there were a few reasons behind that, but one of them being that he had since graduated. He worked in juvenile corrections, and his work schedule just he wasn't always off on Sunday mornings. And so his main time that he could attend service was Sunday night. So sometime during that time, Germantown First Church of God stopped having evening services on Sunday nights. And so then we started attending Community Harvest, and where we would have been, we were members there for 10 years. And so during that time, there was a missionary that came to our church one evening, and he was missionary to China, and he had spoke of his time there and on the mission field, and about all the babies that needed a home. And so I picked up some paperwork from him, and I just really felt impressed from the Holy Spirit that we were to adopt from there. Now the reason was because the Holy Spirit impressed that upon me. So I think Bob and I had been married about 8 years at that point, and probably around there. And anyway, I came home from church that night, and then when Bob got home from work, I was like, honey, then I just told him all about it, told him about the missionary, and how I just felt that impression from the Holy Spirit, that the prompting that we were supposed to adopt. And he said, well, okay, well, we'll pray about that. And so we did. And we prayed about that for a couple of years, and it just never left. And I had stuck that paperwork in a pile of stuff, and every once in a while I'd come across it, and I kept praying about it. And finally, he was like, okay, I said, it's not leaving. It's not leaving. And I had never conceived myself during that time. And our adoption process was not in lieu of, it was in addition to. We had always planned that we would have, 4 to 6 kids. Really, we both kind of were hoping for 4, 2 boys and 2 girls was what we discussed. But we do not know. We don't know God's plan for us all the time, like before it unfolds, right? And so, anyway, that was a 2-year process. But around that time that we started attending a community harvest church, that's where we heard the missionary. And then I was like, well, Lord, how do you even go about this? Like, what agency do we use? And so that's where there was another couple, some other friends of ours. Well, we really didn't know them until the adoption journey began. And they had come up after church one night, and I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. So back to the agency. So we decided, there was another couple who had already had completed the adoption process and brought their daughter home. So we decided to use the agency that they used. And so glad that we did. And they were a wonderful agency, and still do a lot of great mission work now. So I highly encourage you to look into the Orphan Voice Ministry and see how you can help partner with them should you have it on your heart to do so. So at any rate, we started on that journey. And right when we had sent off our application and or paperwork of some sort. I mean, when you adopt internationally, if you have, you're talking a mountain worth of paperwork, all worth a while, right? It's all worth it. But so this other friends of ours, that we then met at church, that we didn't know very well prior to that, but they had just sent off their application too. So the whole time on the journey, we were like neck and neck as far as like, did you get this paperwork in? Did you get this? You're waiting on all these. It's just a hurry up and wait process the entire time. And so we ended up bringing our Olivia home in 2004, and they brought their Adriana home in 2004. And I thought it was so timely too that we did receive Olivia's picture on Good Friday. And one of the very monumental happenings during the process of bringing Olivia home was we were actually at a hotel in China, and we had done sort of like a baby dedication there of going around the room telling how the Lord brought us to that point. What brought you to adoption? And then committed to raise that child in the love, in knowledge of the Lord. So it was such a special time together, and you really bond. There were like 17 families in our group, and almost all of them had reached out when Bob ended up passing. So if you can imagine being in a delivery room with all these people, and it was just it was such an amazing experience becoming a mother, number one. And it was so amazing that that's the path that God put us on. And I'm going to tell you what. So we had gone around that room and told our story of how the Lord brought us to where he did that day. And there was this kind of like, we were in a hotel conference room, and there was this kind of like Chinese elevator music playing in the background. And after it was over and we'd prayed, we're packing up our belongings, and I start hearing Amazing Grace in English. And I look at Bob and I'm like, do you hear that? He said, yeah. And we start looking around at the other families, and I was like, do you guys hear that? Yeah, yeah. We were all hearing in English the song Amazing Grace. I'm going to stop right there for today, and we'll pick up next time. That's my gift for you today.